Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. I know it's cheesy, isn't it? Oh, everyone's got a gimmick, right? I don't know where we came up with that. But anyway, hello, everybody.
Hello.
It's Mayday. May the 1st, 2026. And we were sort of struggling a bit, weren't we, really, to come up with some things to sort of chat about. And often people will say, well, if you've got nothing to say, don't say anything at all, right? And then a couple of little things, we thought about a couple of things, so we thought, well, we might as well anyway, because it's May the 1st. And I think when especially like a day like today, it's apparently May Day is celebrating the workers. So they've given you all a day off to celebrate the fact that you work and pay taxes to give loads of money to them, right? If you look
Very
at it,
generous.
if you look at it like that, right? So anyway, so me and Mum just sat outside. We have a gin and tonic on a Friday, and we've been good. We haven't drunk any wine all week, have we?
No,
None.
we've been very good.
Been good. That's why Mum's not slurring away like she does sometimes. Anyway, first off, just like to thank for the comments. We're getting some good little comments, and it's something I wanted to bring up. I've been listening to a couple of channels which are all to do with a lot of the things that these so-called old philosophers said. Now, we know that a lot of these bods could have been made up and all this kind of stuff, but a lot of this stuff really sort of rings true, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely.
You know, about why certain people see things in certain ways, why certain people act in certain ways. And my old mate Luch, bless him, all right, Luch, best bass player in the world, the greatest guy I know, apart from my brother. He's written a book to do with, I suppose it is to do with playing the bass guitar. And he's an Italian guy from Sardinia, but his grasp of English in writing is very, very good. And he says he can't speak English very well, but he's better than I am with French, and he actually speaks French as well. But anyway, what he wrote in his book, which I don't know when it's coming out or how it's going to come out, but it really kind of rang a bell with me because, he's a younger guy and everything, and I've told him a few things in the past. He used to take things quite to heart, and he's doing great. He's not long been married. Well, it's 2 years now, actually, not long.
Yeah.
And he got a couple of little ones on the way. Twins. Talk about in at the deep end. Well, good on you, mate, and Barbie. Fantastic. But what he wrote really rang a bell in a way with me, because even though I'm older and I'm supposed to be the sort of one doing that kind of thing, it shows you that even when you think you know a lot of stuff, somebody else can come along and make you take a step back and re-look at yourself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In a way. And Mum used to do a lot of book editing, and she went through it's not a very long book, it's not supposed to be a story or anything, and she said it's absolutely brilliantly written, and it's something that people could read who have nothing to do with music or bass guitar especially at all. And it is all about discipline. So I've been listening to a couple of things the last couple of days. I've been doing bits and pieces in the studio and so on. And they're all this from these sort of ancient philosophers, and some of them not so ancient, but they again ring a bell. And the point of bringing it up was that we live in this world now of validation. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Everything has to be validated. How many thumbs up am I getting? Oh dear, nobody's looked at my that kind of thing, which of course again we all know those that are here. We don't do this for validation. We don't care. This isn't why we do this. We do this because we learned something from some people that we think is valuable, and we want to share that in perhaps a sort of tongue-in-cheek, I suppose, manner, that at least somebody else might then go, well, hold on a second, is there anything wrong with questioning what is put in front of me? And one of the things that this particular, it's actually about 4 channels that all do the same subject with different 19 voices. Obviously, it's not a real person reading it. It sounds pretty good, but it's not a real person reading it. But, you know, is to bring forward that those that question are always going to be put somewhere along the line on the back burner, aren't they? And you saw that in the Truman Show, right? When old Truman started to question what was going on, he was being shunned by his friends and stuff like that. And of course, when he was a little boy, he said, "I want to be an adventurer and and all that kind of stuff. Oh, there's nowhere to go anymore. It's all been discovered and so on, And that's kind of what the school system did. And the school system really is about, we teach you out of a book that we've taught thousands of other people, and if you question it, you are going to be ostracised for it. Well, we've always said we don't really care. You can say whatever you like. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. And I always knew when I was at school, and we're not talking about reading, writing, and arithmetic. We're not talking about that. The Little House on the Prairie school. Learn to read, learn to write, learn to spellcast, spell, or whatever. But it's all the other stuff, and this constant indoctrination that if you don't get a degree, you haven't done well, and especially being pushed more and more and more all the time. And then you see people with so-called degrees in certain subjects who are acting, should I say, like, well, people in their 30s and 40s who are acting like teenagers. Yeah. Yet they've got these degrees in some kind of, I don't know, I won't say it, but some kind of subject. And then you look at them and you go, well, and that is because the system wants people like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
As George Carlin said, and even Bill Burr, when he was good, said, if you can't work it out by now, that your gene pool is not going to create anything any better than this. And George Carlin said, they just want people that are bright enough to run the machinery and do the job, but not bright enough to use common sense and critical thinking.
Well, it's that control thing again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Easy to control.
Well, that's what it said.
To manipulate.
Yeah, the people that go along with the crowd, graze with the herd, are a lot more easy to control than people that at least turn around and say, well, hold on a second, this doesn't look right. So again, listening to these things the last couple of days, and guys, don't get me wrong, I'm not buying into it, right? I'm not like, oh, yeah, these blokes, this Greek bloke and this guy, they had it all sussed out. No, it's not that at all. Because then, like Matt would say, you're falling for the trick. But the common sense aspect of it, and I think we saw, probably for us, as we've said before, in 2020, we saw common sense disappear.
Oh, it just, yeah.
And it's been kind of like that for a long time, as we've all said. But it was funny. We again. I keep saying it was funny. I always say the same thing. As we said, it was funny. I always think, but and this thing I've been watching, just going back a bit on that. It talks about talking too much. Well, unfortunately, I do talk too much, and that's just a sort of cross I've got to bear, really, and poor old mum. But in 2020. A certain event occurred, and they gave people a year, basically a year, to spend maybe an hour, maybe one whole day to work it out. But a year later, they rolled out, you know, the fun stuff, and a huge proportion went along with it. So they said, you know, we've given you this opportunity to use critical thinking and common sense. Let's see how many go along with it. And of course, the answer was very few in the grand scheme of things. Sadly, yeah, in the grand scheme of things, very few. And again, this sort of thing talks about how people who are awarded for stupidity and those that question and you know, basically say, well, hold on a minute, I said I kicked out of the club, are ostracised for it. But all interesting stuff, and it all sort of adds up, doesn't it?
It all makes sense.
All makes sense.
Look into it deeply.
Yeah.
Yeah. Into
the place that you are, and again, the old slogans, things like "anything for an easy life, mate." That kind of pretty much sums it up. Anyway, just getting off that subject a little bit. The reason I got this picture here, as you've probably been looking at and gone, oh no. So we were watching Matt the other day, and like I said, the reason I brought this up is to basically I put Matt's video in the link because he has a good old dig at old Queen Charlene, old King Charlene, whatever, at the end, which is absolutely brilliant. Well worth just watching for him having a dig at the old British royals. Brilliant. But so, you know, over the years we've been all talking about, you know, in the early days, as Matt would call them, the first year truthers and all that about, you know, they're going to pull an alien invasion thing and all that kind of stuff. Well, and by the way, YouTube bot, I'm perfectly within my rights to use this picture. So you can't take the video down because we've used a promo picture. That's something, again, that Matt brought up. But anyway, so you've got old Emily Blunt here on the right. I don't know who this mush is on the left. I haven't bothered to look. But anyway, of course, there's your old symbolism again. Now, why do they need to do that? And as you know, they do this on everything. All the Star Wars rubbish and everything, all the crappy last lot of runs that they did. Pretty much everything. And it's for two reasons. One, it's either to show you again, or two, is to bamboozle people like us by going, look, they're doing it again.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this film is coming out. It's a Spielberg, of course it's not. You know, they just put his name on it to get people to go to the movies or whatever to see it. But anyway, Matt maintains that Emily Blunt is not the real, is like a 19 version anyway. It's not a real person anymore. Again, he's looking awfully a lot like old Kev Perry, don't you think? Even in that picture.
Somewhat.
Somewhat. But anyway, so there's a lot of pictures that go with this, and I won't show any of them because I'm not plagiarising Matt's video. And but if you go over and watch his video, it's quite funny, and of course he's very good with the old nose and all that kind of stuff. But so we thought this was funny. This is coming out because you know, they've pulled everything else, haven't they?
We've been waiting for something.
Oh yeah.
Aliens, haven't we?
Oh yeah, we've been waiting for ages, right? Because we said. So if this really comes to light, whatever way they pull it, and of course with the old 19 now, the first and ninth letter of the alphabet, it's going to be pretty easy to dupe the majority of the public into thinking something's going on, right? And like Matt said, they're not going to have some bubble-headed Paul type ET character visiting the White House, are they? You know what I mean?
No.
Right, so if people believed, if a huge proportion of people believed in the Fartimus rubbish, they'll believe in anything. And of course, as old Serge said, we've kind of put that one to bed now because as with the Apollo stuff, people are already bored with it. But, you know, there's problems and gastric problems and like Mark Mystery said, you know, you're probably going to find out they've got some alien parasite or some shit like that, right? But anyway, it's interesting that all these things are coming out in 2026. So I urge you to go and watch Matt's video because he is quite funny. He's a bit of a lad, that bloke, and I do think that a lot of a huge majority of what he says is is 100%. And we'll talk about his fake reality in a minute. If our reality was real, these things wouldn't be happening. And we're going to bring up in a minute about, we're going to go back to the old sky's their limit bit. Nothing to do with what's buzzing around in the air, but to show some companies, or just a website that is highlighting companies that are tampering with things that they have no right to tamper with in the first place, right? So where are we? So the first thing we're going to, that's what I was going to say first. So it's Mayday. Now, I thought this was interesting. We've got a little man here who's going to say it.
Mayday.
Come on, mate, say it.
Mayday.
There you go. Anyway, so it's Mayday, and is the springtime festival, or as an international day honouring workers, right? So, as you can see, Mayday is 3 letters and 3 letters, right? That's 6.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you might say, come on, you're really pulling out the old sad shit here now, aren't you? But it is funny. It is funny. So, of course, Mayday is a emergency message which started in the early 1920s by Frederick Stanley Mockford. Funny, his name's Mock, isn't it? Like he's mocking. I don't know, Mockford. At Croydon Airport, right? Croydon, right? He has been asked to think of a word that would indicate distress. Well, actually, what they did was it's not a word, is it? It's 2 words that they glued together, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so as you probably already can surmise, that Mayday, Mayday, Mayday is basically 3 6s, right?
Yeah.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Put the 2 together, 6. So they say it 3 times. Mayday, 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 right? 666, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, and then of course this is all to do with the old. There's a couple of bods who've done some good stuff on this, right? Quite interesting, but also the SOS. So the SOS is nautical, and Mayday is aviation, right?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're going down, right? So Titanic, ding, 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 send the SOS, right? So SOS, as probably nearly everybody knows anyway, means save our souls. And is also numerology 3s, right? Isn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
But apparently it became quite confusing with the old clickety-click,
Morse code.
the Morse code, right? Anyway, there's a long story that goes with it, which we won't go into. But save our souls. Why not just SU? Save us. Save us. Why save our souls? Well, what about the people that don't think they have a soul? My neighbour doesn't think he has a soul. He said, I don't have a soul. How would you know? You wouldn't know, would you? But anyway, we just thought that was interesting on Mayday, that a day for the workers is also the signal for distress. An early conceived as a distress call, right? So distressed day for the workers. Thought that was interesting, and I'm sure there's a lot more in it than that. So anyway, going over to this, we're going to go back to. So you guys saw the Wednesday clip from the morning and the afternoon or early evening, apero time. Here, and thanks old Fari there for the great message to do with the plants as well, and everybody else that's said something about it. Again, this is all about repetition. If people keep seeing this. Now, as we've said, talking about this site with these philosophers and what they said about, thinking about not winning arguments, but you know what I mean. When you get approached by somebody, especially now, and they tell you that you're completely mad if you think that they're pumping shit into the air, right? you know, one of the great things that they said in these videos is, you know, you take a second, you let them wait. You don't go diving in with your ammunition. You let them wait, let them sweat out a little bit, you know. Never reply to anybody instantly, you know, because they're going to expect that you're always going to be replying to them instantly, and that's in a message, an email, and so on. So, you know, you make them wait a little bit, and then they know that, you know, perhaps you're not available. But anyway, so I just typed in what organisations does what organisations do in geoengineering, right? Because I'd abbreviated it so I can actually put sentences together in English. So anyway, here on old DuckDuck here is this list. Okay, so if we just go from here now, the reason I'm doing this now is because I was going to make a little video, a little cheesy video with just the logos, wasn't I?
Yeah.
With a bit of like menacing music behind it. These are the people that are playing with the world, tampering with the world. So at the top here, E-Sun. Oh, hello, E-Sun. Sounds like some bloke from Shogun or something. But when you look down through this lot here, and we're not going very far down because we can add more to it. Here's our old favourite there, making geoengineering more inclusive, right, and ethical. Hang on a minute, ethical, right? They use all these words, Harvard, right? Whoever this is, geoengineeringfoundation.org, allied organisations, the Geo Institute, Geoengineers, INVEN, US Environmental Protection Agency, right? So you look at this, right? So it says here, the Harvard Solar Geoengineering Research Program, the SGRP. Now remember, when they start abbreviating these names, you know that there's something
Dodgy going on.
Something dodgy going on, right?
Good.
Is one organisation involved in geoengineering research. Additionally, the Climate Justice Alliance. Where's old Russell from Slide Doors? Oh no, this is good stuff. The Climate Justice Alliance. That sounds like something out of Judge Dredd, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right? And the Union of Concerned Scientists.
Oh.
Right? The Union of Concerned Scientists. As we said in our last video, does anybody actually know a scientist? With a white coat on and pens in their pockets?
There must be a lot.
Right, the Union of... What about the Union of Concerned People? I find that very... you've got racist, feminist, whatever you want to call it. All these different ists. I find that very peopleists. What about the Union of Concerned People? The Union of Concerned Scientists are among the organisations that have expressed concerns about geoengineering. Now, okay, so from that little paragraph here, these people here, if you go and have a look, they are actually telling you, these are the people that are saying tampering with the weather is not a good idea.
Which it isn't.
Which it isn't.
No.
Right. So anyway, so you've got once again you've got your red and your blue, you got your black and your white, you got your right and your left. Right, now you got this lot. Right. So you've got one bunch of people here that are telling you that they are going to muck about with your weather, and if it all goes terribly wrong, hard shit, hard luck. Then you've got the Climate Justice Alliance and the Union of Concerned Scientists who are telling you, hang on a minute, what these other bods are doing is probably a bad idea. Right. So anyway, I as you know, you guys know, I typed in, what was it, sulfur dioxide.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and Mum, as she said in her last video, or when she got a word in, has been suffering with Well, skin problems and all this kind
Well,
of shit.
yes. Watery eyes, stuffy ears.
Dry throat.
Terrible dry throat. And what are some of the
Oh, yeah.
symptoms?
Right, and Mum's the only 90-year-old person that I know with teenage spots.
Never had spots in
Mum's
her
never
life
had spots in her
before.
life, right?
No,
And
no.
now she's got the teenage pimples. She's got one on her nose at the
Oh,
moment, which
shut up.
I've got my eye on for later, right? Because her body is trying to reject toxins that are being absorbed into the skin. And old Serge, he said, and oh, by the way, the little video that we put up earlier on was just, he did a little bit for the Serge report, and there was nothing really to be bothered to put in, only a load of yellow and blue rubbish, which people are sick and tired of now anyway. But he's been out quite a bit, hasn't he?
Yes.
Outside and everything, and he's got very sore skin on his face and everything, and we both wear hats. Neither of us are bald, but we both wear hats, you know, religiously, if you want to call it that, through the summer, and in the winter to keep our heads warm. Even though I've got quite long hair again, and I had a little sort of so-called skin cancer thing, good few years back now, which I think I told you in this thing. I cleared it up with aloe vera, right?
Yeah.
So we are a bit conscious of that, and I refuse to wear sun cream or anything like that, because I think that that shit absorbing into your body is not a good idea. And there's plenty of research on that. But anyway, so here we got the Harvard Solar Geoengineering Research Program, the SGRP. So you can have a look into this. Right, because the deal, as far as I'm concerned with this, is they're going to get you one way or another, right? So anyway, so I went then to eSun, right, because I was going to do this video on bits and bobs and just put in these logos, right? And then I came up with this, right, and I started scrolling down, right, Carbon Engineering, Geoengineers Inc., Geodata, Climate Engineers Inc., Fugro, right? Okay, which we're going to look at in a minute. Glog International and Global Spinning Ball Thermostat, Climate Engine, Headwaters, TRC companies, right? It says here on this thing, as you can see, top 100 geoengineering companies in 2026. It's not 100, it's 1,000 plus companies are freely admitting that they are mucking about with our realm's weather. Right, now who do you think gives these bods authority to do this in the first place? Look at this one here. Construction ahead. Cell line development, bacteria and yeast, right? None of these things have got anything good tagged on them. All these things are to do with very dodgy goings on. Now, again, as we've said, and as Matt will say, they can't all be in on it, right? And I agree, they can't all be in on it. But the people that work for these organisations actually believe that what these bods are doing is valuable and is here to save our world, or save the spinning ball, as they like to put forward. Now, when you start looking through some of these, and I looked through a couple of pages, 1947. These clowns started, right?
Crikey.
1947.
Yeah, it's a long time
1962,
ago.
right? 2006. 1961,
61.
right? So this isn't like a new thing. This has been going 2009, 1980. 1984, there you go, 1984, yeah. So when you start looking through, it shows you that these bods have been either sort of bought in or whatever to muck about with this stuff since basically the modern era began, I suppose you would call it, right?
Yeah.
Top geoengineering company. The B2B platform is the best purchasing decision. Identify and compare relevant B2B manufacturers, suppliers and retailers. Whatever on earth that is supposed to mean. Anyway, some of these companies are actually companies that build stuff to do things, ridiculous things like suck the carbon out of the air so that we all suffocate. Great idea, right?
Oh,
Going back to using this as an example and going back to the stuff we were talking about with, I won't try and pronounce any of their names, these philosophers, but again, we were saying that how easy it is for people to be duped into doing something. And there was this woman that apparently attended a lot of the war crime council judgment sessions, I suppose you would call it, to do with a certain group of people that were running around after a funny little fella with greasy hair and a funny little moustache, right? Okay, and this woman was super surprised to find out that when she thought she would be watching evil, sadistic people being put on charge, they were basically ordinary people. People with families, people with wives and kids.
which they had.
Which they had, right?
Yeah.
And what they were doing, the excuse of they were just following orders, right? Well, you know, we thought it was the right thing to do. So when we've said about these bods that are flying about over our heads and stuff like that, well, they're just following orders. That still doesn't make it right. So I'm having this, we've got the old white wine going on a Friday. Very nice. Anyway, so when you look at all this stuff, you just got to say to yourself, well, you know, if you ever find yourself in a, not an argument, but a confrontation with anybody where they're saying to you, oh, come on, don't be so ridiculous, right? We'll just pull up another page here, like page 2. Don't be so ridiculous. And you say, all right then, well, I will email you a list of companies that admit that they have been for a very long time, 1949. This is in France.
In France, yeah. What do they do?
Aegis is an international consulting and engineering firm focused on intelligent infrastructure and sustainable development, addressing our challenges through innovative projects and technologies. Their mission emphasizes creating resilient solutions that contribute to a sustainable future which aligns with the principles of geoengineering. 1970, 1987, 1983, and it goes on and on and on. What's that one at the bottom there? Ground control to Major Tom.
Oh dear, they've got 10,000 employees.
Look at that, from 5,001 to 10,000 employees. Where's that come from then? Ground control is dedicated to enhancing natural environments and promoting sustainability through everything is there to promote sustainability, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. But it's not sustainability for us. Right? Innovative. I can't say that word. Say that word, Mum. Innovative approaches that could relate to geoengineering efforts, right? So it's the same tagline on every single one, right? So if these companies are real and they're actually doing this stuff, like I said, you have to ask yourself, who's funding them, who agrees to all of this, and so on. But like we said, is the trick, the key is when somebody says to you, like we've had in the past, like my mum's my mum's, like my friend's mum says, don't be so stupid. They're not tampering with the weather. You can say, well, read that then. Is this all fake or what? I don't know. Now, on that sujet, because in a minute we're going to talk about the banks, what's going on with the banks, right? Okay, I've got a little list here. There's a couple of things here. Serge sent me a thing about, again, talking about the air, about an airline shutting down due to the fuel crisis that flies out of Stansted and Gatwick. Apparently, they've had to close down. He'd never heard of them before, so it probably didn't exist. They've had to close down because of the fuel crisis, and they can't keep their planes in the air. So, as he said, well, where are all these planes in the air coming from, and where are they getting their fuel from? Boom, boom, boom. That's that one. Also, vineyards over here in France apparently closing down.
Onto that one, didn't I?
Right. Okay, so we've got the old Matt's movie, Mayday, that's out of the way. Stupid People. Have we done Stupid People? I don't think we have, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
Right, anyway, so, intelligence, common sense. So, what we were going to say is, we'll talk about the banks in a minute, but I just wanted to bring this up. And this is from that list, okay? This is this company here. Oh, hang on a minute. That's on page 1. Anyway, but this company here came from this list, okay, called Fugro. From dusk till dawn, the role of nocturnal low-level jets in weather forecasting. So the first thing I thought was jets like planes, but of course they don't mean that at all, right? They mean the jet stream. Why they don't put jet stream in there, I don't know. So anyway, so here's one of these menacing-looking, super nice pictures, right? And this here tells you about nocturnal low-level jets, the NLLJS. Once again, let's put these stupid little abbreviations, can significantly affect local weather conditions in many parts of the world, posing risks to the safety and efficiency of client operations. That's why accurately predicting these strong low-altitude winds is integral to our weather forecasting remit. Right? Now, again, this is just utter bullshit, right? And when you come, I mean, look at this. Who drew this? This you're going to believe what these clowns, this is what they pull up, right? Anyway, look at this. I mean, who puts out shit like this? What does this even mean? Right? Ridiculous, right? Some bad screenshot. Anyway, an early warning success in North Africa. An interesting read. There's your purple again. Why is it all in purple? I don't know. Ask Serge. Right? And of course, no disrespect, I tried to find any pictures on this site which wasn't this. Very difficult to find. But anyway, this is apparently a legit company, and they are involved in mucking about with the weather. And look at this, From Dusk Till Dawn. Well, that was the movie about the vampires. That was a good film. Yeah. A Tarantino low-budget film, dodgy old Glenda George Clooney in it. Okay, so what they're basically saying is that wind storms or wind that we've never heard of in our entire lives is a major, basically a major thing that they focus upon. Bridging the gap between models and expertise, right? And then they give you this shit picture like this. It's like, what is this even supposed to mean? Right? Because it's so much information that the regular Joe can't take it. Right? Get in touch. Let's email and ask them, what are you doing? They're in the Netherlands, right? But that was interesting because then we were talking this morning about, we had a great load of rain last night, which we sorely need. Everything's dried out. We're doing the old mulching. Old Fiery would know all about that. Bless you, mate. And we're doing a lot of mulching, straw and so on, keep the ground nice and soft for the old ver de terre, the worms and so on. And it's all going really well. But 1st of May, the ground is rock hard. Right, so the last thing we need is torrential rain that won't soak in. But nice steady rain flow, which is what we had last night. We might get a little bit tonight, which is
Not
good.
looking at that.
What,
I doubt.
Out there
Looks
at the moment. Looks too
too
good.
bright.
Too good. Anyway, right. But like we said, is these bods here, and I'm not saying that the electrical engineer, you know, that like we won't go into all this shit on here, but like energy, water, infrastructure, expertise, case studies, search jobs, employee stories, you know, oh, it's all kumbaya, isn't it? You know, there you go, here we go again. See, every fucking time, literally, like you don't work for these people, love. You're just a face with a helmet on. Like, here we go, there it is, right? You know, but there's a few mushes in here, so I'll give them that. But nevertheless, you know, it's all kumbaya, right? And these people actually believe that they're doing necessity necessity work, I suppose, whatever. We've got 11,000 experts across 52 countries, right? And they actually believe that tampering with the weather is a good idea, which we know is a very bad idea. But the question is, again, if you said, well, okay, we'll give you that. We'll say, yeah, well, all right, they're trying to do something to help people, right? So I said, well, if that's the case, why aren't they helping people in Africa then?
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, is Africa the biggest continent in the world? If it's not,
it is.
It's the biggest.
I think it is.
I think it's the biggest. Let's have a quick look. Is Africa?
Africa comes before America.
Is Africa? Let's have a look. I'm sure it is. So, don't call me names.
The old girl might be wrong.
Biggest continent. Sure it is. Oh, come on. The 7 continents ranked in size. I just want to know. Yes. Oh, God. No, Africa is not the biggest continent. Asia holds. Well, you're pretty close, aren't you?
Well.
Anyway. Whatever. Let's just say Africa is one of the biggest continents in the world. But, yeah, well, Asia's pretty big, isn't it, I suppose. But you never think of Asia. You always think of, like, big rainforests and shit like that, don't you?
Yeah.
And so on. But why do you think that Africa's had the living shit kicked out of it over the years? So when the old Geldof and that pulled the old Live Aid shit, you know, you knew that was never going to do any good, right? But this, I thought this was quite interesting because the great dying of Africa, right?
Dying.
Sorry, well, I would just hazard a guess and call it dying because they're just killing everybody off there, right? The great dying of Africa. Anyway, this goes on and it tells you about all to do with the oceans and this, that and the other and so on, and it to do with the cooling of the water in the tropical region of Atlantic just north of the equator relative to warming of the tropical South Atlantic, right? So my question is, now we went down to, where was it we went to? Bella Medina. In Spain. South of Spain, right down south, where you can see
the coast of Africa.
The coast of Africa, right? Not very far away. And you can actually see it, quite hazy, but you can see it. So the question is, if these organisations are able to muck about with the weather and stop hailstones, create this, create that, create the other, why don't you think they edge some of this weather pattern down towards Africa? Apparently they can do all this wonderful stuff. They're all blowing each other, you know, that we're so brilliant. So you see, you know, of course you've got to have the same old sort of pictures here. And look at this. This is what always makes me laugh. A displaced mother and child in... What is that even supposed to mean? How do you know if this woman's displaced? She looks quite well turned out. She looks in, you know, looking good, right? But these people have had the shit kicked out of them for generations, and they continue. So we're gonna. It made old fiery laugh that I said this. Mum's going to talk quickly because I've got to go to the toilet again.
Oh dear.
About Jersey and the water supply. Off you go.
Right. Yes, I don't know what brought it to mind, but we were talking about water and where water comes from. And it went through my head, well, coming from Jersey, I don't remember rivers or mountains. And as water is supposed to come from the mountains and the rivers, I remembered then about desalination, because being an island, you're surrounded by salt water, and I remember that is what they actually do. Well, if they can do that there, why can't they do it in other places where there is a shortage of water? So that was my question as to why it can't be done in various other areas. But we haven't come to that answer yet.
Well, we have. Hang on, I'm just
well,
going to top us up here. We know the answer, and the answer is that they can do these things. They don't want to.
They don't want to.
I think, and I saw this video, and I mentioned it a couple of times before, and I've got it somewhere. I think it's been removed now, with old Billy Girl Gates on, I think it was Pebble Mill at one, which was a TV show that used to be on at lunchtime when we were, well, not when we were kids. I don't know whether he's even still going now, but anyway, where that knobhead said, yeah, what we do is we go out into these small villages and we do our tests out there, and if it all goes well, we bring it back to general population. Well, what if it doesn't go well? Well, we just dig a hole and chuck them all in there and cover them with lime, right? So I personally think that the continent of Africa, not all of it, but various areas, have been a testing ground, right? A testing ground for research, and unfortunately these poor people have basically paid the price for being there. Because you think about it, like Mum was just saying, Jersey doesn't have any water. I don't know about Guernsey. Same thing.
Well, I would imagine it's the same thing.
Yeah,
there aren't mountains. And
no.
Rivers,
well, we were saying about where does all this water come from, and people say, well, it comes from the sky, and you go, all right then. So it has to go somewhere, right? Okay, it goes into reservoirs, things like that. But they talk about like water coming from the mountains, the snow, when the snow melts, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, what about Australia then? What about Australia? And where's all that water come from? Hey?
Yeah.
There's no giant mountain mesas there with water pouring down for where does all this water come from? Like Paul Cook said when his mate found that thing where it was pumping it out the ground, out of the top of this hillside, and water was being pumped out from underground, right? And then running down into rivers and stuff like that. Where does all this water come from? Australia, a pretty dry place. Where does all the water come from? So Australia's in the middle of the sea. It's an island. So why aren't they doing stuff to irrigate Africa? And they say, well, it's too hot there. What do you think? Well, if apparently we're all the same distance away from the sun, right? What is the difference between the southern coast of Spain and Africa just across the way? That's because they don't want these people to have that stuff, in my opinion.
Young kids are still, according to the media, still have to go and collect water from these awful muddy pools or whatever they are.
Yeah.
And they're begging for money all the time.
Well, and also on that front, you're going along with the modern kids, and we were the same, so it's not just, we can call ourselves names as well, because we didn't know any better. But parents, when your kid's playing you up, your 12-year-old little shit like somebody we know is, can't even lift a finger to help. Show them some pictures of what some of these little kids have to do, these 6-year-old, 7-year-old kids have to do in these countries where they have to walk for 2 miles with nothing on their feet, pick up a plastic container of somewhat dirty water. Might make them think, mightn't it? But the point of bringing this up was, when you hear these statements from these NASA following nerds like Serge loves so much, because that's his thing, talking about how let's just say a trip to the moon right, a trip to the moon is an amazing thing for humanity. Right? Do those people ever see what goes on in places like Africa? They can't, because if there was anything humanitarian going on, these people would be taken care of. And these humanitarian organisations, when it says that they're NGOs, right, non-government organisations, no, they're not. They are all government-approved and run organisations, because they would shut them down. If they're doing the opposite to what the government says, they would shut them down. So if you remember, guys, when I said I was going to contact the Climate Chance organisation here in France, did I hear back from them?
Mm-hmm.
I wait for an answer. Of course not. When we contacted Stoke-on-Trent University about the so-called yellow and blue girl that was being forced to learn Russian, did we hear back from them? Of course not.
No.
Right? It's always the same, because if you write to these people, apart from SleazyJet, which I was quite surprised about, you'll never hear back from them, because you are asking a question that shouldn't be asked. And the people that support these organisations, they also don't ask that question. So, when these bods go to, which is this month I think, when they go to Cyprus for a nice little 3-day retreat to chat with that bozo who probably won't be there anyway, from the European Parliament, when they ask the questions that we've been talking about tonight, they will either be removed, or they will be told there's certain questions you can't ask, there's certain subjects you can't cover. I'm sure of that, aren't you?
Well, I would think so.
It's like, Madam,
it doesn't fit the bill.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, can you explain to me why in the middle of a fuel crisis we have more airplanes in the air than ever before? Madam, can you explain to me why the continent of Africa is constantly getting the living shit kicked out of it, decade after decade? Why can't you irrigate that place and help these people out? Apparently they dug the Erie Canal out with shovels and wheelbarrows. And on that note, what we were going to say, right? Remember the stuff about the line, the city in the desert that they were building called the Line, right? It's so obvious that is all fake, right? It's not real, right? They might have made a video, let's sell apartments. It's not real. If they can build this giant infrastructure in the middle of the desert, right?
Yes.
And allow for the curvature of the earth, right? In the middle of the desert, why can't they help these people out then?
Well, exactly, because they've got to have water.
Yeah, because it's all CGI bullshit.
Well,
There's no city, no long city being built in the middle of the desert. That's a load of old rubbish again. Usual old story. Anyway, we're going to end this one. We're going to talk about the banks, right? And the reason we're going to talk about the banks is because, once again, old big-headed Gaz here is 100% right. And you may remember from one of the other conversations we had, we talked about our lady down at the bank who was trying to get me to do online banking, which I don't mind doing, but online banking, and use a mobile app, which I refuse to do. Over to you, Mother.
Well, I received an email out of the blue last week, I guess, right?
Yeah.
to tell me that our branch in Beaulieu, 5 minutes down the road, is being regrouped with another branch, which is half an hour away.
About 30 minutes drive.
Yeah, about 25, 30 minutes drive from here. And it was from our new conseiller, who will look after our affairs.
Secretary.
As Al Murray would say.
Secretary.
And if I had any questions, then to get in touch with her, telephone number, email address. The branch in Beaulieu would continue with its 19 devices.
Oh, yeah.
You can still go in and
but there won't be anybody there.
But no human will be about.
No human being.
No human being. So I said to Gary, there's no way we're going all the way to Maysac.
Yeah, and people will say, well, 30 minutes isn't far. It is when you're 90 and you don't drive.
Well, it is now.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
if you weren't here, how would I do
now
it?
for all intents and purposes, I'm not here all the time, right? Okay, and especially back in the day when I was out.
Not just me, all people.
Oh yeah.
There are a lot of people my age.
That's right. Yeah. So it's very convenient down in the town, and back in the day when I was going away, I'd go away for 3 months at a time. And Mum was driving then. And she still can drive. It's not that she can't drive. It's just I won't let her because our car's a bit knackered. And
too many idiots.
And there's some incredibly dangerous people on the road these days, as everybody knows. But anyway, so the point was with this bank thing was that we said a long time ago that an advert appeared on the platform that you're watching this video on, which was a French advert, and it showed a Greek flag, didn't it?
Yeah.
Right. And it was talking about the bank crisis in Greece a few years back, which actually happened twice. And an old mate of mine that I used to work with, George, who's a great musician and producer, we went out to see him a few times. He did a load of jobs for us and so on, and we worked on a lot of sort of projects together, and he was telling me about what it was like when you couldn't go to the bank and get any money out, and I can't remember how much it was. I probably got it completely wrong, but they were basically limiting people from drawing out their own money out the bank, right? And it's quite funny because I'm reading a book at the moment because we're doing this thing on the Channel Islands, and how in Jersey they were limiting people from drawing out their money from the bank because they thought that the Germans were coming. Right, well, it's those people's money, right? You can't tell them they can't have their money, but of course all that money is gone. Anybody who thinks that there's any money in the bank, there's some money in the cash point, but that's it, mate. Right. When I was in my 20s, you used to be able to go into the bank and say, I want to draw out £1,000. And they had to give it to you. Well, now you can't do that. You've got to give them 48 hours notice.
And you don't see guys delivering money.
No, we were
the
saying
bank
you don't
anymore,
see around here, you don't see the security blokes turn
I
up.
haven't seen them in donkey's
Years, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so like we said, is the French whatever association of whatever was saying it happened in Greece, it could happen here. And you tell people and they go, oh, it'll never happen here. It'll never happen here. And you say, well, you've got to be prepared for these things. What if it did? And all of a sudden your assets were frozen and you couldn't pay your bills because you've done it all online. And I was reading up somewhere that as long as cash is viable, you can go down to your local say, I want to pay this with cash. And they say, well, we can't accept cash. And then you can say to them, right then, well, if you then can't accept that cash, that means your demand is void because I am offering you legitimate finance to pay for this. It's not my problem that you won't accept it. But if you do everything digitally, everything online with your phone, whatever, and it's frozen, you are screwed. All your eggs in one basket. And me and little Sarah did a thing about this a long time ago when we did our thing about prepping. And she was funny because she goes, well, I've got some candles. I said, yeah, but where are they? She said, well, I don't know. So I said, well, you need a flashlight then, mate. So
She only had 12, didn't she?
She had 12, yeah. If you listen on this, Sarah, you know what we're talking about here, mate. But she went out and she got the kit. She went out and got the soil water filter and she got some flashlights and stuff like that, because where we live and where she lived or lives, when the lights go out, you can't see shit, right? So, we were saying the same thing. If you put all your eggs in one basket and it all goes wrong, you've had it. You've got to have a backup. So what Mum was saying about this woman down the bank, and she speaks a bit of English, and I'm able to converse with her. And she's a nice woman, and we think she's retired now. But anyway, they re-kitted this bank out, didn't they? Not that long ago. All glass panelling and all slick inside. Looked quite nice.
What for?
What for?
I mean,
right?
It's all useless.
It's all useless now, but it proves that the money from their prospect, the money from their side doesn't exist. It's just numbers and figures, right? So anyway, we went down there some time ago, and we'd had a few problems because we like paper. We like paper coming through the door, telling us what we've got.
Always had a bank statement.
Yeah.
Always.
Because if they turn round, you think about this, and we've discussed this. If all of a sudden there's a big click, everything goes offline. When it comes back on, it's it's like in oh God, what's the film? Anyway, but
everything's gone.
Everything's gone, and they say, well, all info's gone, right? So you go, well, what about all my money? So, well, I'm sorry, we've got no proof that you ever had any money in there.
Well, you have.
Right, and you go, well, where's all the digital statements gone then? Where's the honour? Yeah. Well, it's all gone. So there's no proof that you had 200 million quid, as Al Murray would say,
we wish.
in the bank, right? But if you've got a piece of paper and you go, well, what's this then, shithead? Here's a statement from your bank with a date on it, which shows that I had 200 million quid in the bank. Right? So in France, you're told to keep all your statements and that for 5 years, don't they? So we said we want statements. Well, Mum wasn't getting statements, so we had to go in there, and it was a pain in the arse. But anyway,
we sorted that out.
Yeah, and then what we did was that we would go in. We go down to the market on a Wednesday morning, and we go into the bank and see the lady. What's her name? Beatrice. And she's like, oh, and we say, yeah, we'd like to do a bank transfer, please, like the good old days. And she said, well, you can do this online. It's like, no, we don't work for you. We're not doing the bank transfers for you. You do it. That's what you're getting paid for, right? So we put our money in the bank, we have to go online, and we have to move all our money around whilst they're charging us for the privilege of doing that. I don't work for you. And we'll bring up another woman that we know with the same name in a minute to end our conversation about the idiocracy of people. Yeah. So anyway, so we're sitting there, and she's another one who probably thinks, well, this is weird. Why is this Gary always with his mum? Right? So she said, well, you can do this online. And we said, yeah, we know, but we want you to do it. When we come into the bank and see you, You do the job for us. It takes seconds. We know it's been done properly. We get to talk to you, and you keep your job. When people stop coming into the bank, you will lose your job, including the girl out the front. There's a girl that works there as well. Quite a nice girl, isn't she?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And big thighs. But she's very nice and quite attractive. And sorry, don't want to sound sexist or anything, but she's a nice looking girl, right? They've all lost their jobs or been moved. Now, if they've been moved, that means they now have to travel considerably further to go to work, right? So we said we're not going to go. We will keep using the bank as is, but we're looking at alternative measures. So,
and I meant to say, I was only given 2 weeks' notice.
Oh yeah,
that this was happening.
Yeah, because
we had no idea,
right?
That
so
they were going to be closing.
Yeah, so because we sort of the way we've set things up here at the house is that it's me and mum and me, right? So our statements and everything come through as mum's my what do they call it? Well, it comes through. I'm under my mum, right? So it always comes through. So I don't have any of that stuff come through to me because one, I'm not doing online banking with them, and two, I'm
lodging with me.
As far as they are aware, it's basically I'm not really lodging, but it comes under that sort of pretense. So of course I don't get anything like that right through the door. Poor old mum gets it all the time, right? And anyway, so yeah, we didn't get a letter in the post from the local bank.
Well, even if they'd sent an email a month ago.
We got an email.
I mean, honestly.
Right, we got an email. So mum emailed this Beatrice and told her what she thought, said, yeah, okay, that's fine, blah, 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 blah. If you're retiring, we wish you the best. Thanks for your help over the years and so on. Not heard back from her. Because on Monday, it's over. She don't give a shit. You're just a number, right? Just a number. So again, the point was that with this bank system thing. So I spoke to my old mate next door, my neighbour, the old Raf, and he's a top man. Trust him. He's a great guy. He knows his stuff. And he said to me, I told him about it. I said, who do you bank with? So he told me. Now I don't have an objection to online banking. We all know that's the way it's going to go. But I decide when I'm going to do that. I don't get forced into it by a bank we've been with for 20 years, right? And have to pay for the privilege. So he goes, well, we don't pay any bank charges, blah, 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 blah. So we've looked into it and we're going to do something with that and then look at basically transfers and things like that. And he's pretty astute with that kind of thing. But again, you're trusting an organisation that is corrupt beyond belief. You've got people that work, it used to be a prestigious job working in the bank. Now it's like, where are these people going to go and get their jobs?
I don't know.
What are they going to do? So there's another bank, what was it called in France? It's the third one, isn't it?
Yes,
begins with B. Anyway, there's the three main banks here are Crédit Agricole, Banque Populaire, which isn't so popular after all. Excuse me, and this other bank. So at the end of 2025, they announced they're closing 101.
Oh, BNPA, wasn't it?
BNPA, that's it.
Yeah.
Well done. Closing 101 branches throughout France. So what they're doing is they're forcing people, right, into either doing everything online or having to travel. So like Raf said, he said, well, Maysac is no bigger than Beaulieu, right? So the next thing is they'll close the one in Maysac and it'll be Brive. Now you've got 45 minutes to an hour to go to the bank. After that, but Brive's pretty big, so that's as far as it will probably go. But of course, all the people from the surrounding communities are all being forced to that. So now they're going to get overwhelmed. So you're going to be like outside the mobile dumb phone shop, queuing up for 2 hours to get some knobhead from Orange to go, "Oh, I'm sorry, we can't help you, madam," or something like that, right? And that's the way it's all going. So being prepared for these things is super important. And like I said, I'm going to put in the description Matt's video for this film that's coming out. Don't be surprised. Never be surprised of what's coming around the corner. Because, like Serge said last year, 2026 is going to be a doozy, and of course, it's already working out as a good laugh.
Yeah.
And as we've said many times in this one, we're not trying to gain attention. We're not trying to get hits. We're not trying to get thumbs up. We know plenty of people. You know who you are, who pay for thumbs up and likes and shit like that. Don't get you anywhere. What you're doing is you're lying to yourself for justification. It's quite simple, because if you've got no clients, you got thousands of thumbs up, you got no clients, it's quite obviously what you're doing. We know what you're doing. So we've done it ourselves back in the past when we thought it was the thing to do 15, 20 years ago. So, don't bullshit a bullshitter sort of thing. But all these things are interesting subjects, and certainly looking into what is going on in the skies. I know it's an old story, but now more and more of it's coming to light. 2-3 years ago, if you chimed in, if you typed in this geoengineering crap, you'd never find anything. Now it's right there in front of you, right? It's right there.
Just look for it.
Just look for it. And when you talk to your kids, parents that listen to this, you talk to your kids, you let them know. So ask them this on the right hand side. Would you like to be this little girl here? Would you like to be this little girl here? This might be a very well-to-do lady. She looks well turned out, right?
I have to say, she looks so well dressed, that one.
That's right. Just doesn't really look displaced. But anyway, but that's aside. But if you just ask your kids, when they're moaning and groaning, we've all been there, moaning and groaning about our life's not fair. Show them some pictures of some of these kids and say to them, when you're bitching and moaning about, you can't help your dad do a simple job, or can't help your mum unload the car with shopping and stuff like that, you throw your arms up in the air at 12 years old because you think you're a little princess, right? Show them some of these poor little kids where you could have ended up if fate had dealt a different card. And I think maybe those sort of things are something that, and that's why they don't show any of this shit at schools.
Well, of course they don't. No.
They don't want people to realise how tough it could really be. And going back just quickly to what we said about irrigating Africa, well, what a job, what a job. Well, go and look at the Erie Canal, which of course they didn't dig out with shovels. What a load of rubbish, right? Absolute bullshit. What, through mountains and stuff like that? Blokes with wheelbarrows. But you think about this. These people that live here are some of the toughest people on the earth. Tough. No shoes. Toughest people on the earth. You tell me that these people couldn't, if they were assisted, couldn't sort something out here?
Yeah.
It's rubbish. And that's because as this thing I told you I was listening to today, it's all designed around a system. And little Chloe from who does the gardening thing, the little Irish girl, totally unaffected, thank goodness. She's bought a few things up and she's hit a few nails on the head. One to do with all the dodgy celebs and everything, but people will find her channel. Can't remember what it's called now, but I'll put a link in again.
Yeah,
there's two links I've got to remember.
Yeah, she's great.
And she's talking about the problems in Ireland again. Ireland is such a fertile country with a very moderate climate. Why on earth is Ireland relying on imports from other countries for food supplies? Why aren't they instilling into the public, grow food, do this, that and the other? Well, when you look at the bastards in Parliament there that have been there for decades again, and especially the dodgy Irish police, right? Look at their behaviour and everything. That is why. You are in a controlled system there. And I would have thought, again, the Celts, the Irish, none of those people, unless they were dumbed right down, would put up with any of that shit. They would rip the heads off of these people and stick them on pikes.
As in the old days.
As in the old days. Ask Mel Gibson, he'll tell you all about it. Anyway, I got all bunged up there from my white wine. Anyway, so we said the disclosure movies, map video.
Yeah, I think
We were going to talk about some guy I know, but we won't go into him because he's not worth wasting his time on. Oh yeah, that was the other thing. Apparently, Mum said, she goes, yeah, because we like the old wine. What's that?
Oh, yes. It was announced that the French government
Old Macaroon and his dodgy old mate,
would be closing down over 7,000 vineyards in France, particularly in the Bordeaux and Languedoc regions, which produce red wine mainly, because of the lack of sales of wine in France these days. Sadly, I mean, how true this is, I don't know. Quite a large percentage of these vineyards are going to close completely, but many of the others are going to carry on as normal, particularly the smaller vineyards.
yes. But like we said, first off,
What rubbish.
yeah, it's more bullshit, right? It's like the old doomsday book we were going to get and never got. It's like they're going to throw all the kids in the army. That never happened.
That never happened.
That never happened.
No.
And this was I'm glad you brought that up, Mum, because I almost forgot about John Levy's video about the Constitution and what happens in a state of emergency, right? So remember that state of emergency, Constitution, John Levy. So the government is going to close your vineyard because people aren't buying wine. Well, you turn around and you say, well, we've sold all our wine, so you ain't closing us down, you can piss off. Au revoir, right? That's the end of it. It's just more nonsense that they put up online to start to scare the crap out of people. Oh my God, they're going to start shutting vineyards. Oh my God. Right, they're not going to do that. France is known for three main things, as Serge says: wine, cheese, and a bit of sun. It's not really what else is there.
I cannot see a chateau with a vineyard that's been doing it for hundreds of years.
They're not. It's nonsense.
Are going to close down
nonsense.
Because of what?
Yeah, well, that old turd says. Right. Anyway, so the other thing was John Levy did one last weekend, and we're trying to watch our things on a Sunday morning because we got so many things to do during the day. We used to watch them every morning through the winter with coffee and that in the morning. Anyway, so he was looking into this thing to do with constitutional rights. Well, of course, as George Carlin said, these aren't rights; these are privileges, and they can take them away whenever they like, right? So apparently, according to what he was reading up, and it was very good, is that if your country is in a state of emergency, your constitutional rights no longer exist, right? It's void during that state of emergency. Well, for the last I don't know how many years, it seems quite clear that they have done the old Matt's cake in a lake fake state of emergency right across the realm so that nobody's constitutional rights are valid anymore. Right?
Yeah.
So they can turn around and say, well, the reason, Gary, that all these Air Force planes are in the air is because we're in a state of emergency. The reason, Gary, that there's all this terrible weather patterns is because we're in a state of emergency. So your rights no longer count, apparently. And I thought that was quite interesting because they're always dangling the carrot, the doom and gloom carrot, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Another interesting thing. But anyway, we're going to leave it at that.
Are we done?
I think we're done. The flies are back. The flies are back.
It's hotting up.
It's warming up. The flies are back. It'd be mosquitoes next, so I've got to get the mosquitoes out. Yeah, and I do agree with the comment that we had from our mate. You know who you are. These giant hornets that we've got here as well.
Oh, wow.
We had one like a B-52 bomber flying around in the greenhouse, and I used to let them out and stuff like that. Our old friend Sid, he got stung by one, didn't he? And he spent the night with his arm in a bucket of ice. But she reckons that they're geo-engineered, and I would say
they bloody well look like
they look like they've definitely come out of a lab. And like we said, and she'd mentioned, we're going to we'll have a little look into Porton Down and some of these places, and that's Serge's sort of small speciality. So we're going to leave it with this lovely face of this lady here and this little kitty, and then yeah.
Have a good weekend.
Check out this Control, Command, Escape. Au revoir. Have a good weekend.
Au revoir.